So hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming a Jolly Soul. Today we are going to be looking at another of our Instagram posts, which is be silly, stay wild, don't let life tame that incredibly beautiful soul. So if you're not following our Instagram, please make sure you check it out. We are on other platforms as well, like Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, so yeah, do check us out on those platforms if they're your go-to social media. So be silly, stay wild, don't let life tame that incredibly beautiful soul. I think one thing that I've learned and never kind of really let go of is play and creativity, and kind of like I always recognize that, you know, you've got to have fun. Like life is to be like lived and to be happy. And I think, you know, often people don't realize that they've got themselves into such a rut where, you know, they haven't maybe belly laughed in, you know, like forever. And I think, you know, no matter how many difficult days like I've had or difficult times that we've had generally, like me and you, we always make sure that, you know, at least every week, like we're just a bit silly and we dance and we have fun, and
especially on a morning.
Yeah,
getting ready for school run and stuff like that.
And so that's the thing, like some of the things that we do on the school run, like you know, your sort of Mission Impossible moments and stuff. Tell us about it. It's fun.
It's about 1 minute long. It's a theme tune to Mission Impossible, basically. And so the girls, to kind of like motivate and trying to get, because it is a rush, you know, we have to try and keep things.
Sometimes it's a rush.
to get going. So that's the kind of last resort, but it's a bit of fun as a last resort. So I stick the theme tune of Mission Impossible on, and it's they've got, I think it's around 60 seconds basically of the theme tune. So they're rushing around trying to get dressed and change and stuff, but they love it because it's the music as well. It's the epic kind of like, are they going to get there? Are they going to make it or not? And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I'll play it again and we'll do it for different tasks and stuff, which is kind of cool.
And I think even like on a Friday especially, and I don't ever really want it to be about living for the weekend. I think you got to live for every single day, but there was a song called Friday, and that's like a go-to Friday anthem, isn't it, on a morning? Yeah. And just to have a dance and things. But we'll do that even Monday or Wednesday or any day we'll do that.
Monday's the better day to do it. Anyway, well, for us, I think, because it gets that week going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That day vibing.
Our doggy loves this podcast, by the way. She is, at this moment in time, just chilling to the white noise right next to us. Snoring. So if you do hear snoring, it is her.
It's not me off camera, like saying it's literally it's where it's my chops.
But I think one thing that like I said, I noticed is that a lot of people, as they get older, you know, we are very lucky in that we've never let go of that kind of youthful way that we look at life, and like that playfulness and that enjoyment. And I do see other people, either my age or even older, who they get so, all I can think of it is just like boring.
Why do you think it is?
Why do I think it's boring, or why do I think they get boring?
No, why do you think, but as adults, lose the sense of play?
I think it's because it starts at school. I see that in school, like with the girls. So like when they first arrived in school, there was no structure, there's lots of dress up, there's all the interactive activity areas, there's all this kind of stuff, and throughout every single year at school it's slowly but surely taking away from them, to the point where just within like 2 years, 3 years, there are bums on seats all day, sat looking at a teacher and, you know, not really enjoying it. And it's true. It's like even just this morning, I was, you know, the weather's terrible and what have you, and it's sort of there's not a lot of sunshine at the moment. So I've made sure that the girls have multivitamins and that we're taking some vitamin D. And my little girl had taken Molly. She'd had her vitamin. And then she turned to me and said, "Oh, what flavour are your vitamins?" And I was like, no flavour. You know, so she's like, "No flavour? What do you mean?" I was like, "Yeah, we just swallow our vitamins, you know." Whereas she's got these like fun like, I don't know what flavour, some berry flavoured, chewy, you know, chewable vitamins. And maybe that's well, obviously that's because of like swallowing issues and stuff. They want them to chew them so they're not, swallowing a big tablet. But it kind of feels a bit like, where's our fun sometimes?
They want them to taste good for them.
Yeah,
but
why not us? Why not us? Why don't
exactly.
Why do we just swallow it, get on with it, move forward? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know why? It's because you haven't got time. You're an adult now. You have to have responsibilities. It's I don't want to enjoy.
Life makes us slightly boring if you allow that to be. And also, like, when you see those people who are slightly extreme, they can be like the almost like the weird people. Like they are classed in society as they're look at that kind of weird person. Yeah. And that's so bad, isn't it? So it's like, but sometimes they've got an edge enough to be cool. Or they have to be a performer or a creative, like an actor or something like that. But if you're too outside the box, then sometimes, not all the time, but often people will judge you for being a bit like kooky. Do you know what I mean?
Out there a bit.
Yeah. And it's totally not right, because everybody should be a bit crazy. In the best way of saying that word. I tend not to use the most negative words, and I sometimes think they have different connotations, but being a bit out there, being a bit different, and
crazy isn't a bad thing either. It's just,
well, yeah, I know, but it's just really connected to people have used these words as like negative connotations for people with mental health issues, and so that's the reason for that one. But I think it's really important to make time for fun, and also like make time for things that are good for your soul. So like, I know, like when I wrote the original quote, I did with the original post, I put on there about kind of different practices that I have for my own self, such as, so like daily, I try to every day, as much as I possibly can, make time for exercise, meditation, especially through the worst times and the most difficult times. There's kind of that saying about how, when you're going through something really bad, people say, I haven't got time to meditate, I haven't got time to take time out for self-care, but you have to, that's the one thing that you must do. So I focus on like the good as much as I can each day. Like the days where I don't focus on good, and I look at anything that's like really upsetting me, or kind of doing my head in a bit, that's the only way I can it feels like it's done in. I think on those days I'm definitely not aware of the good, and I'm not focused on gratitude and things. So that's one thing that I do. I try to focus on diet as well. I think that was a massive change for us, like in the last sort of 10 years. That has really helped us become more jolly souls. Is food is really, like, cooking food has been a real eye-opener. I think when you cook food, you start to realise actually the things that are being put in there, what's necessary, what's not, like, is everything good for me? Are the chemicals that are being used in like certain foods, are they good for me? Yes, no. And to be honest, a lot of them, like, the things that keep food with longer dates, they generally aren't the best things to be putting in foods. And so I think we've learned a lot more about that, and making time that when, like, I know for myself and my own kind of mental well-being, I always make sure, like, if I'm not feeling myself, if I'm a bit low in any way, then I'll make time to go to sleep earlier. I'll try and get a really early night. And because I just know that your own mind, that like that well-being, emotional regulation, and just mental health purposes, it's really important to get your sleep. Do you know what I mean? And I know that people function who are extremely successful people. I've studied a lot of people like that who, they say they get 4 hours sleep, 6 hours sleep, and that's fine. And, some people can function like that. But I think one thing that I've recognised in my own self, my own well-being, is that when I really don't feel myself, I need a really long night's sleep, and I generally feel like so much better. I'm more focused, and I'm just a better person when I've had rest.
Yeah, but your body tells you, doesn't it? Like that's why it's important to look after it with a good diet, and hydration and stuff. You'll know yourself when you need that sleep. We can function on 4 hours. We can, it's possible.
Oh, yeah. But do you do you function on it to the best that you can?
Yeah.
And I think also, can you deal with stuff? Can you deal with things well? Are you being a good person? Like, that's another thing. On the original post, there was kind of like, I do try to focus on growth. And by that, I mean that I'm always trying to find ways in which to grow and recognize growth. Like, I might come across a certain situation and I think, oh, maybe 10 years ago, like, I'd have been completely different, you know. I might have been a different person in that. And I think recognizing your own growth and how far you've come in yourself is really important as well.
Yeah.
And then finally, just spirituality. I think one thing that I've always been interested in things like that, indefinitely, like, you know, what is this about? Why are we here? You know, is there a God? All that kind of stuff. And I think one thing that I tend to go to now is that kind of, that my own spirituality, my own understanding of what this is and what God is and all that kind of stuff. So I tend to try to make time for that as well each day. So, you know, being somebody who's being, I say be silly, stay wild and all of that, and don't let, you know, obviously going back to that quote, it doesn't necessarily have to be like go absolutely over the top. It's also about things that are just good for you, you know?
You know yourself, choose your moments.
Yeah, and not just having that kind of mundane life where it's just the same old stuff day in, day out. I think often when you get to that point, you do tend to go towards like vices and things that are not necessarily good for you. So having a list of like, you go to really good things that are good for you is a really good step forward. So that's all we got time for. So we hope you join us on another episode.